Hello there, fellow narcissists! I have reflected on my tortured artist journey and decided that out of the goodness of my own heart, I will provide you with a less torturous path to travel, with 3 key rules that work together to immensely increase the speed that you learn to draw. So stick around till the end to get the most out of this video. Rule number 1, the importance of creativity. You probably know what you can draw and what you aren't confident about drawing, but try not to overthink these things or you might end up letting these thoughts limit your creativity. I suffered from this badly and I wasted more than a few months in a drawing skill progress standstill at the beginning of my art journey because of it. At the time I couldn't figure out why I was stuck like this. I did everything that you would normally do to learn something. I bought art books and watched YouTube tutorials for beginners, and in a few months I could see that the practice drawings in my sketchbook had improved a lot. But when it came to drawing an original character, my mind went blank, and it annoyed me. It seemed like I lost a creative spark I had when I had no knowledge of drawing at all. But instead of having an existential crisis, I reasoned with myself and I said, look, you can't just suddenly lose your imagination. It's impossible, unscientific even. Nope, your problem is that you just aren't confident in your drawing capabilities and you need to study more. So I studied for a few months and I came back to that blank piece of paper titled Original Character, and the same thing happened. Then I watched a I redraw your original character video and I remember thinking that all these unique character designs drawn poorly are way better than my blank page. I realised that I couldn't draw an OC because creative ideas I had got narrowed down the more I thought about what I could and couldn't draw. I always thought within the box of my known drawing capabilities, so I decided to imagine the craziest OC I could and do my best to draw it. Was it good? Hell no, and neither was the one after that. But I had learned after months of boring study the first and most important rule to constantly grow as an artist, and that is exercise your creativity and your drawing capabilities will naturally grow. Or let your imagination lead the way and your drawing skills will have to follow. Providing you don't make the second painful mistake that I was making, and that is thinking that I had to study and practice to improve. This is wrong information. Study and production beats study and practice every time. What do I mean study and practice is wrong? Don't get angry at me yet, let me explain. Study and practice is studying a reference image from a book or the internet and then putting that knowledge into a practice drawing, or in my case, pages of practice drawings. But if we take into consideration what I said in rule number 1, you will not gain much from this approach other than pain and suffering. You're probably thinking, well, how do I learn to draw faster if I don't practice? Well, we need to first identify what practicing drawing actually means versus what you may think it means. Traditionally, we are told that practice is repeating something until we become good at it. And this is true, but if you are trapped in the cycle of study and practice, instead of study and production, your progress will be slow and you will get very annoyed like I was. This is because practice drawings that are aimed at practicing will not increase your drawing skills as there is a lack of purpose. Therefore, your brain will dismiss your practice drawings as unimportant, meaning that retention of knowledge learned from practice drawings will be low. If you are in the process of filling a sketchbook with pages dedicated to figure drawings, hand gestures, and so on, you might want to reconsider doing this and instead focus on producing illustrations to the highest quality possible. Or in other words, rule number 2, study and production. To use rule number 2 effectively, you will need to use rule 1 to give yourself creative freedom and think outside the box of your known drawing capabilities. To get the most out of the study and production method, you should set a challenge for yourself with every illustration you do to draw things you have never drawn before or are not as confident at drawing. Then you find and study reference images that you will use to complete your work. Studying reference images to use in the production of an illustration will register with a sense of urgency in your brain, meaning that you will retain more information than study and practice. Also, a challenging task in an art piece should be set with the belief that you can complete it. For example, if you can't draw a sunny background with light clouds, Research reference images and challenge yourself to draw it. If you are comfortable drawing characters in a certain pose, draw a different one that you have never done before or are not as confident about. The key is to not set too many tasks for yourself in one art piece. Otherwise, you won't realistically be able to complete them to a high standard and will instead feel overwhelmed. Leading into the third rule, I want to address emotional turbulence during your art journey and the importance of time. Don't do what I did and set yourself a ginormous goal of pro-level drawing within 5 years, okay? It doesn't work. I was stressed out of my mind, I had burnout, lack of motivation, and an obsession with trying to achieve the perfect picture, which FYI doesn't exist. But at the time I had convinced myself that it did, and I would feel bad when I couldn't achieve it. Eventually I let this goal go because I could see it wasn't going to happen. But what I didn't expect was that I felt way better mentally after I did let it go, and as a result I actually improved faster. So rule 3 is take your time and trust in the process. It might sound contradictory to what I've been saying about improving drawing skills faster, but it's not. Creativity and production still takes time like it would if you were filling sketchbooks with practice drawings. You just have to trust in the process and don't rush yourself. With this said, it's important that you differentiate the time it takes to do a practice drawing from a complete illustration. Completing an illustration will be a lot more time consuming than a practice drawing. Give yourself unlimited time to create an illustration to your highest standard. For me, this looks like a week or more planning an art piece before I even start drawing. It takes me about 2 months to finish each piece, emphasis on one piece at a time. I know the temptation is high to start a new illustration when the current one you are working on is not going so well, but resist this temptation because by starting multiple illustrations, you decrease the chance of finishing any of them. It's important to finish every illustration you start so you can see what you want to improve in your next piece. I know it's cliche, but you learn from past mistakes. It must seem by now that I have an overwhelming hatred for practice. But this is not the case. I think there is a time and place for practice drawings, but this is not necessary as a beginner in my opinion. Just draw whatever you want, setting tasks for yourself, using references and making sure to complete the illustration every time, and you will see a lot of progress in very good time. Saying this, there will come a time in your art journey when you will have to practice. Just make sure to practice for production. Meaning, practice with a sense of purpose. For instance, if you are having a hard time drawing smooth, flowy hair, it's totally okay to practice drawing hair because you have a purpose, which is to improve on an aspect of your illustrations that you have identified as lacking. Okay, those were my 3 rules that will make your drawing skills improve faster with less suffering. What do you think? Do you have any tips to lessen the pain? Then leave them in the comments to save the life of a tortured artist today. And if you got value from this video, please consider feeding my ego by smashing that like and subscribe button. Until next time, this is your dear leader, CH Narcissist, signing out.